We are on the scene of breaking news this morning. Two shootings just blocks apart. The neighborhood now riddled with crime scene tape and how those victims are doing. Tulsa Public School Board voted late last night to allow middle, junior, and high school students to return in person, but not until January. We're live with why the older students will wait until after winter break. A Black Lives Matter mural vandalized over and over again. The reason the suspect gave after introducing himself to the store owner.
Covering news that matters. Fox 23 News This Morning starts right now.
Right, scratching our heads about that. Good morning, I'm Tiffany Alaniz in for Michelle Lynn. The time now is 4:30. Thanks so much for starting your day with us. We are on the scene of breaking news this morning after two people were shot in South Tulsa. We're working to get new information from police as they are working to piece together the crime scenes that are just blocks apart. But first, a cool start to the day for us. Thankfully, the rain and drizzle has pretty much stopped out there. It's still wet out there, though. Meteorologist Megan McClellan's in the Fox 23 Severe Weather Center tracking what we can expect this morning. And Megan, just a very damp and cool start.
Right. I'm not looking at rain as widespread or as intense as what we had yesterday, but we do still have just these little pockets, not only with the rain, but also the warmer temperatures.
Megan, thanks so much. We're on the scene of breaking news this morning. Police are investigating two shootings in the same South Tulsa parking lot. One left a woman fighting for her life. Fox 23's Amanda Harry is live near 61st and Peoria, explaining just how close the two shootings were to each other and the short amount of time, Amanda, between them.
Yeah, Tiffany, police were here for one shooting that happened down this way near that intersection. While they were setting up a perimeter, about 15 minutes later, there was a second shooting in this area of the parking lot. Tulsa police say this happened around 10:20 last night. They were called to the area of 61st and Peoria to investigate a shooting. The first victim was taken to the hospital. Police say that person's injuries are non-life threatening. About 15 minutes later, another person was shot in this parking lot nearby while police were already on the scene. Police say the suspect got away. Now they're trying to figure out what happened.
So right now, we're still trying to piece that together. Homicide has been notified, and they're trying to determine if these two shootings were in fact related. Right now, we just don't know.
The victim of the second shooting is a woman. We asked where she was shot, but the officer said he didn't want to share that information yet out of respect for the family. She's not expected to survive. What evidence police have that might help them piece some of this together? All of that at 5. Live in South Tulsa, covering news that matters. Amanda Harry, Fox 23 News.
Federal agents are investigating a deadly shooting in Muskogee. Investigators found a 19-year-old identified as Bradley Dillon with a gunshot wound around 2 in the morning Monday and lying in a yard. Authorities say he was taken to the hospital but died. Since Dillon was Native American, the FBI has jurisdiction in this case. Now to our continuing coverage of coronavirus. First, the latest numbers from the state health department. 774 new cases reported yesterday. That puts the running total at more than 108,000 cases among Oklahomans. We learned of 2 more deaths, one of which was a Tulsa County man of at least 65 years old. There are 14,533 active cases right now across the state. More than 2,300 of those are in Tulsa County. And also last night, we learned of new record hospitalizations from the state health department. We have now surpassed 800 people right now in the hospital and more than 300 in ICU, which is a record for the pandemic. In our back to school coverage for you, Tulsa public school leaders made a big decision to send middle, junior, and high school students back to the classroom, but not until January. Fox 23's Scott Martin is live this morning with the safety measures that will be in place and why they believed the older students needed to wait. Scott.
Yeah, Tiffany, well, those older students will go back to school January the 4th after the winter break to help make keeping track with this possible coronavirus information, help how they are going to keep track of it. We're live this morning in Tulsa, covering news that matters. Scott Martin, Fox 23 News.
Changes ahead, Scott. Thanks so much. Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers for districts in our area. Even though TPS is not in person with their classes yet, they still have positive cases. Of the 5 districts listed on your screen, Union Public Schools currently has the most cases with 25 students and 11 staff members testing positive for COVID-19. Crews began the second round of digging in Oak Lawn Cemetery for a possible mass grave from the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. We told you in July when crews first excavated an area in Oak Lawn, but they did not find evidence of a mass grave during that one. Now, crews are digging in 2 other parts of the cemetery. One is known as the Original 18, where 18 identified and unidentified victims of the race massacre were buried. And the other site is named after Clyde Eddy, a 10-year-old who in 1921 claimed to have seen the race massacre victims being buried in that cemetery. No word yet on when the city could begin digs at an area known as the Canes. That's near New Block Park in West Tulsa. It's an area where a geographic survey determined anomalies in the ground could indicate a mass grave there. Tulsa is also working to survey the Rolling Oaks Memorial Gardens in South Tulsa, formerly known as the Booker T. Washington Cemetery. That's an area where a public oversight committee believes there may also be mass graves. Well, you may have noticed the new lane closure in Tulsa on 244 near the Greenwood District. Construction crews started building the Pathway of Hope. It's a walkway meant to reconnect Black Wall Street and reflect on Tulsa's dark past. There will be some driving delays in that area. The Pathway of Hope will start on Greenwood, wrap around the back of Driller Stadium at One Oak, and end on Elgin.
To finally see these projects really, literally see the light of day, it's really rallying so much of what's going to happen in 2021 and the excitement towards the city coming to grips with this tragic past, facing it together, but more importantly, having this hope of reconciliation.
The walkway will be lit up with pieces of art and writing. The pathway is expected to open next April. That, of course, is just before the centennial of the Tulsa Race Massacre. In You Decide 2020, an unusual warning from the state election board. They issued a voter alert after a voter received a text message on Friday that falsely claimed the voter's polling place had changed. So the text asked the voter to reply to confirm her identity. Then it provided a number to call to be removed from a notification list. What a nightmare, right? So that number ended up being for a mail escort service. The state election board says it will never text you about any changes to your polling places. Instead, you would always be notified through the mail. So be aware of that and warn any of your friends. The Residence Inn in South Tulsa is offering a reward for information that leads to a man who's accused of jumping over their front counter, then forcing an employee at knife point to open the cash drawer. It happened early in the morning on October the 2nd. You can see the surveillance here. The suspect is described as tall, between 200 and 240 pounds. The investigators say he left in a dark 4-door sedan. The hotel is offering $1,000 for any information that leads to an arrest. Starting tomorrow, watch for narrowed lanes in East Tulsa on 41st near 129th East Avenue. The city is planning to work on a big 48-inch water line from Wednesday through the following Friday, the 30th. The city says water service in the area should not be affected. After we saw a very cold day yesterday and last night, it was like comfort food, let's light a fall candle and be all cozy. Meteorologist Megan McClellan, I'm sure she was doing the very same thing. I just know you, so I know you were all cozy at home just like I was.
Yeah, grab the fuzzy socks and the blanket and snuggle with the dogs. That is absolutely what I did yesterday, and probably what a lot of people are going to be doing this morning, because it's another cool start and even warmer temperatures tomorrow.
The time now is 4:41.
There are always hungry people, and there are always people, it seems, that don't have enough to get through.
For some, no school means no meals at all. The backpacks some local churches are passing out, not meant for school supplies.
Can I open it?
Oh, so exciting. A family gets 2 big surprises. The first one, dad returning home. How the other one was just as magical. Caught in the act more than once, the Black Lives Matter mural one store owner says keeps getting vandalized. And the reason, she's so sure it's the same suspect. In a developing story, Black Lives Matter mural on someone's private property has been vandalized 4 times since it was first painted back in June. Fox 23's Amanda Gilbert is live at Mad Dog Liquor with surveillance video that's captured the latest suspect. Amanda.
Yeah, Tiffany, you can see behind me here, it has the words Black Lives Matter on it.
as well as the names of victims who have been killed by police brutality. Now, surveillance video shows a man using white paint being vandalized again. I'm working on that for the next hour. Covering news that matters, I'm Amanda Gilbert, Fox 23 News.
Now to the impact of the pandemic on some local students, especially on weekends. Here's a look at Boulevard Christian Church's food pantry. Cereals, yogurt, fruit, and fruit snacks, for example. The lead pastor says they've been involved with the backpack program for about 15 years, but he hasn't seen a need for food like this year.
We recognize a lot of these kids are from single parent homes, and obviously because of the pandemic, finances have been tough.
He says it's hard to bring food to students since a large amount are in virtual learning. Typically, volunteers would just drop it off at their schools. Presbyterian Church of Muskogee is also involved. Pastor Jeff Cranton says they give at least 10 backpacks a week to students at Irving Elementary. So great to see. Look at that. I mean, that just gives you chills. The Collinsville community came together for a hero's welcome home. Fox 23's Mariah Ellis talked with the family and takes us to the happy reunion.
Covering news that matters, Mariah Ellis, Fox 23 News.
Oh, well, how sweet is that? Just an amazing, amazing reunion. Welcome home to him, and we hope and we know that they're having such a great time just getting all back together and catching up. A wet start to the day and cool out there. Meteorologist Megan McClellan's in the Fox 23 Severe Weather Center tracking some showers, Megan.
Yeah, still looking at some of those showers rolling through, pretty isolated, and just these little pop-ups. Keep your umbrella handy as we go through really the next 2 weeks. Coming up in the next half hour and breaking down a little bit more about what you can expect as you're headed out the door and getting your Tuesday started.
Megan, thank you. The time now is 4:50.
If and when we would ever need to use that, having a bunch of beds is useless if you don't have the nursing and doctor staff to treat the people in them.
Concerns over the lack of hospital beds. I just told you about the record hospitalizations we set last night, what Tulsa's mayor wants done before we have a further surge in cases.
Suddenly you show up with, 40, 50 dogs. That's just a big challenge.
A challenge one community met with full force, how they came together to help dozens of abused dogs get back to good health. Students in Tulsa Public Schools have several opportunities to get a free flu shot. Students went to the enrollment center Monday to get their shots as part of the district's partnership with the Oklahoma Caring Van program. One parent told us it's a level of protection her family is not going out without, especially this year.
We all work in a position where we're exposed to the public on a daily basis. So the better prepared we can be, the better off I feel that the safety and health of my family.
So TPS will also provide free flu shots October 29th from 4 to 6 at Booker T. Washington High School, then November the 4th from 3:30 to 5:30 at East Central High. Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum talked with us about the welcome home for Officer Arash Zarkishan and the bear hug that he gave him when he stepped off the plane at Tulsa International. He spoke with our radio news partner KRMG yesterday, and this is how he described that touching moment.
That was a high point for my whole life. When we've had such a tough year, to have something like that and to have someone like him in this community just meant everything.
The mayor says Officer Zarkishan's resilience and positive outlook are exactly what Tulsa needs right now. He is definitely such an inspiration. The time now is 4:55. We're on the scene of breaking news this morning. One crime scene quickly turned into two. The shootings just 2 minutes apart in the same South Tulsa parking lot. Another big group of Tulsa Public Schools will return to the classroom in Tulsa. What exactly they can expect when they finally do in January.
And taking a live look at Fox 23 Doppler radar, I'm still tracking some showers moving through for this morning. What you can expect as you're headed out the door coming up in 3 minutes.